Welcome to the Resource Nexus Podcast, where we break down the numbers, trends, and stories shaping college basketball. For more insights, visit us anytime at theresourcenexus.com. Every season, college basketball coaches face the microscope. Some programs find themselves at a crossroads. This ranking looks at nearly 60 head coaches and evaluates the likelihood of them losing their jobs. I'm weighing career accomplishments, historical performance, recent form, roster talent, and what's ahead this season. Now, this isn't about tearing anybody down. Most of these guys are accomplished coaches. Some are even navigating really tough programs, but the point here is simple. Who's under the most pressure, and whose seat is the hottest heading into this year? Let's start at the top of the list. Number 1, Bobby Hurley at Arizona State. Hurley started out strong, making 4 NCAA appearances in his first 8 years, but things have fallen off. 2 years ago, they finished 127th. Last year, 84th. And looking at this current roster, it doesn't inspire much confidence. Even with solid resources in place last year, traction just wasn't there. Sure, Jaden Quaintance missed 9 games, but honestly, it wasn't going much better before the injury. At this point, I wouldn't be shocked if Hurley's next stop is back on his brother's staff. Number 2, George Halkovich at Buffalo. He's only in year 3, but back-to-back finishes north of 340. That's rough, especially at Buffalo, a program that had a top 25 team as recently as 2019. Even the coach at the very top of this hot seat list had a top 60 season there. Halkovich has become the mid-major equivalent of Kenny Payne. Multiple coaches have proven that you can win at Buffalo. Heck, in 2021, they were ranked 77th under Jim Whitesell. And remember, he got fired 2 years later. Number 3, Eric Kunkol at Tulsa. This one is wild. He's only in his 3rd year, but his results so far, 316th, 184th, and 257th. That's just not good enough for Tulsa's resources. This is a program with a reported budget ranked 88th nationally. That's not nothing. Kunkol is likely earning near $1 million a year, top 100 level money. And yet the product has been, let's be honest, bad. What makes it even more baffling is that he got an extension through 2029 right after his so-called peak season of 184th. That's not a peak. It's a red flag. Tulsa had P.J. Haggerty and Kobe Williams on the roster that year and still flopped. Frank Haith was fired after finishing 171st in his worst season. Kunkol's best was worse than Haith's worst. Number 4, Wes Miller at Cincinnati. Year 5 is here, and the resume is looking thin. His peak was 39th 2 years ago, but still with 0 NCAA appearances. Last season, they slid to 55th. For Cincinnati, that just isn't cutting it. Remember, this is a program that basically pushed out Mick Cronin, an alum, for posting top 25 teams that couldn't make it past the first round. That's the level of expectation. So unless Miller gets them dancing this year, that seat is going to get very, very hot. Number 5, Matt McMahon at LSU. 88th last year was the peak. The SEC is tough, sure, but other LSU coaches have managed better. Remember, this is a program ranked 37th all-time. McMahon even brought his star, K.J. Williams, along with 3 starters from that 31-3 Murray State team that finished 20th in the AP poll and won an NCAA game. And yet, they finished 151st at LSU. That signaled a problem early, and things haven't improved much since. Number 6, Penny Hardaway at Memphis. 7 years in, only 3 NCAA appearances, and rankings of 76th and 54th the last 2 seasons. The results remain underwhelming. And looking ahead, this year's roster might actually be the weakest of his entire tenure. Not exactly the trajectory Memphis fans were hoping for. Number 7, Steve Pickiel at Rutgers. 70th with 2 top 5 draft picks is not a good look. Ron Harper wasn't just potential. He performed like a top 15 player on the court. To finish that low shows how poorly the roster was built around him, which honestly felt obvious in the preseason. We had them ranked 75th, while many others had them top 25. And What happened? They ended up finishing 70th. The year before, they finished 100th. This isn't the same Rutgers job it was 10 years ago either. PKL's pulling in around top 35 money. The school has a top 36 budget. They had the resources to land real talent last year, and yet this season's roster might not even crack the top 80. The writing's on the wall. At the very least, Steve, recruit some shooters. Number 8, Hubert Davis at North Carolina. A reported $14 million roster, one of the top 5 in the country. And still, this current group projects closer to the back end of the top 25. Another finish in the 30 to 35 range, or an early NCAA exit, probably won't cut it. Honestly, I wasn't as low on Davis until last year, but choices like barely playing Lubin, when even Will Wade in leaked audio called it a bad move, cost them wins. And with that kind of budget, the leash is not long. Number 9, Jeff Capel III at Pittsburgh. Year 8, one NCAA appearance. He's making top 20 money. And last year, 17-15, good for 63rd nationally. Surprising he's still around. Another season like that, and it's likely the end. Number 10, Jake Diebler at Ohio State. I never really understood this hire. They fired the previous coach mid-season and promoted a staffer who benefited from hot three-point variance and some highly motivated players. It was more about saving face after the mid-season change. Yes, he finished 37th last year, but this is Ohio State. We're talking about one of the nation's best jobs. This year's roster is likely top 10 in pure talent. Without at least a top 25 finish or a tournament win, he could end up like other interim-turned head coaches. Think Rodney Terry at Texas. Except even Terry had an Elite Eight run right out of the gate. If Diebler lands around 30th with a first-round exit, that patience won't last. Number 11, Vance Wahlberg at Fresno State. This was one of the strangest hires in recent memory. Wahlberg was 69 years old, coaching high school ball since 2016, and suddenly gets the Fresno job. Year 2 now, but after going 6-26 and finishing 259th, the change may come quickly. Fresno ranks 103rd all-time in KenPom, a program with enough resources to expect better. Number 12, Steve Lavin at San Diego. Last season, 6 wins, ranked 297th the 2 years before that, 223rd and 256th. It's hard to imagine this lasting beyond the season. San Diego sits 141st in program rank, and it's just not a program that should be sinking to this level. Number 13, Steve Forbes at Wake Forest. Forbes has a strong resume, sure. 2 years ago, he had them ranked 28th, but then came 72nd last year, and in 5 years, 0 NCAA appearances. Even Danny Manning managed one. Wake Forest doesn't seem as serious about basketball as they once were, but at some point, enough is enough. And honestly, this roster doesn't look NCAA worthy either. Number 14, Kim English at Providence. 96 last year. I'll give him this. The roster is underrated this year, but if they don't make the NCAA tournament or come close, he might be out. Our model has Providence ranked 27th in pure talent, but when you factor in the coaching, we got them at 46th. Number 15, Jerome Tang at Kansas State. Tang started hot with that Elite Eight run, but since then, finishes of 70th and 65th. With solid NIL support behind him, the rosters often feel like mismatched pieces instead of a cohesive unit. It's giving more island of misfit toys than serious contender. Number 16, Mike Young at Virginia Tech. The arrow's pointing the wrong way. 6 years in, and last year they ranked 164th. This year's roster does look much improved, but he'll likely need a top 75 finish to keep his job safe. That seems doable with the additions, but if it's not, if they look anything close to last year, expect a change. Number 17, Micah Shrewsbury at Notre Dame. First 2 years, 118th and 98th. He does have the benefit of coaching his son, who's been solid, but a big step forward is needed. A lot of people don't realize Shrewsbury went 15-48 at an NAIA school earlier in his career. That raises questions about his overall resume. Was the Penn State success really him, or was it just the Jalen Pickett show? Number 18, Adrian Autry at Syracuse, 115th last year after 80 in year one, which, to be fair, lines up with Jim Boheim's last 2 years at 118th and 69th. But Autry's under pressure because of the roster talent. Brown, Copeland, Bell, Mintz. There's no shortage of players. Expectations are higher. Number 19, Damon Stoudemire at Georgia Tech, 123rd and 103rd in his first 2 seasons. Georgia Tech was once a Final Four program. Expectations are lower now, sure, but even so, it's unclear how much urgency there really is. Does anyone around Tech even care in 2025? That's the real question. Number 20, Earl Grant at Boston College. This is not an easy job, but finishes of 181st last year and 171st 2 out of the last 3 seasons. That's probably not acceptable even at BC. The hire always felt like a weaker one, and it's playing out that way. Number 21, Lamont Paris at South Carolina. The Gamecocks finished 69th last year, but went just 2-16 in the brutal SEC. Nearly identical to their 54th ranked season 2 years ago when they actually made the NCAA tournament, which just shows how strong the SEC has been historically. But let's not forget, year one was 221st. If he turns in another weak SEC record, that may not be enough to keep him around. In this league, everybody is motivated, and excuses only last so long. Number 22, Dedrick Taylor at Cal State Fullerton. Season 12, and last year was 6-26 with a ranking of 351st. That's brutal. Even crazier, he's only had 3 seasons in the top 200 with a best finish of 124th. Hard to believe he's still there. Number 23, Jay Ladner at Southern Miss. Expectations aren't huge here, but 5 of his 6 seasons have ended ranked 240th or worse. And if it becomes 6 out of 7, even being an alum might not save him. Number 24, Michael Schwartz at East Carolina, now in year 4, and he's never cracked the top 175. Considering the salary and relative talent, that's probably enough to move on. Oddly, he was given an extension this offseason, but extensions don't mean much if results don't follow. Number 25, Tommy Amaker at Harvard. This one is fascinating. Amaker has been there 19 years, but Harvard just had its second worst season of his tenure, finishing 256. Only his first year at 289th was worse. That means 3 of the last 4 years, Harvard has finished 228th, 228th, and 256th. With just one decent year at 158th, they haven't been in the tournament or even finished top 100 since 2015. Maybe the administration doesn't care. But if you're watching Yale dominate again, or Penn jump ahead with Fran McCaffrey, you think that might light a fire. Number 26, Jeremy Ballard at FIU. 7 years in, ranked 255th last season, and hasn't cracked the top 200 since year 2. It just feels like time for a change. Number 27, Joe Scott at Air Force. This is always a tough job at a service academy, but right now they're ranked 310th, and 4 of the last 5 years have been 250 or worse. At some point, tough job stops being an excuse. Number 28, Joe Golding at UTEP. 4 years, and every season has been basically the same: 168, 178th, 178th, and 162nd. He's consistent, sure, but not in a good way. At a place like UTEP, that's just not acceptable. Number 29, Paul Mills at Wichita State. His first 2 years, 154th and 138th. That's not going to cut it at Wichita State. Expectations are higher here, and the patience won't last. Number 30, Aaron Fearn at Charlotte. Got the job as an interim, which usually means less leash. Year 1 looked fine, ranked 121st, but last year, 257. That'll get you fired if it happens again. This is the same program that once fired a coach after a top 80 season. They haven't been close since, but history shows the bar is higher. Number 31, Anthony Grant at Dayton. Finished 77th last year, which would be fine at a lot of schools, but not at Dayton. The 2020 season, where they were 4th nationally, is fading further into the rearview mirror. He's now had 3 different seasons ranked 75th or worse. With the level of support Dayton has, fans are going to start demanding more again. Number 32, Shane Burkhar at Northern Arizona. 6 seasons, 0 top 215 finishes. Even at a low-resource program like this, that's pushing the limits of patience. Number 33, Porter Moser at Oklahoma. This one's interesting. Oklahoma's program rank is 26th, but his finishes have been 54th, 46th, and 40th the last 3 years. That might not sound terrible, but relative to expectations, it may not be enough. Honestly, those rankings might still be inflated by Kelvin Sampson's era. Number 34, Wayne Tinkle at Oregon State. Tinkle's resume includes some strong historical performances. Last year they were a respectable 98th. But recent seasons outside the top 175 show the program has slipped. And looking ahead, this year's roster doesn't inspire much confidence either. Number 35, Anthony Latina at Sacred Heart. Yes, it's a tough job with very few resources, but 12 years in, 0 top 200 seasons, and 7 years ranked 300 or worse, that's unacceptable anywhere. Number 36, Archie Miller at Rhode Island. 157th, last year was his best in 3 seasons. He's reportedly making around $2 million a year. For that kind of money, stagnation won't fly. The only wrinkle is, does Rhode Island even have the funds to buy him out? Number 37, Bill Cohen at Northeastern. 19 years on the job, so he's likely safe, but the last 3 seasons have all been outside the top 250. Last year's 209th finish is a bad trend. It feels like the arrow is pointing down. Number 38, Billy Langs at St. Joe's. Credit where it's due. He finished 99th and 85th the last 2 years. But the 3 years before that, brutal. 3 out of 4 were 191st or worse. If this season goes poorly, it could be the end. And remember, this is still a program that earned a 1 seed in the 2000s. Expectations aren't gone, just dormant. Number 39, Dwayne Killings at Albany. 4 seasons in, 0 top 225 finishes. That says it all. Number 40, Dave Ragland at Evansville. It's year 4, and his first 3 seasons haven't cracked 208th. Expectations aren't sky high here, but this might be bad enough to turn up the heat. Number 41, Jim Ingalls at Columbia. 9 seasons without a single top 215 finish. His predecessor, Kyle Smith, had 3 years between 113 and 165th before leaving for better jobs. At some point, it's time for Ingalls to show something. Number 42, Rod Barnes at Cal State Bakersfield. 15th year coming up, and in all that time, only 2 seasons inside the top 200. Honestly, it feels like the school doesn't really care. He could probably post another 245th ranked season like last year and still be just fine. Number 43, Jim Les at UC Davis. Also entering year 15. Same story as Barnes, but he's managed 4 top 200 seasons in that stretch. Not much different in terms of expectations. Number 44, Frank Martin at UMass. It's year 4, and 2 of the first 3 seasons have been ranked 212th or worse. Last season was the lowest point yet, 222nd. At some point, you have to ask if the Frank Martin hire was ever really working. Number 45, Johnny Dawkins at UCF. Credit where it's due. Dawkins has handled the move from the AAC to the Big 12 pretty well. Back-to-back finishes of 66th and 67th are respectable given the roster. Reasonable results, and for now, stability. Number 46, Shante Legans at Portland. Year 5 coming up. The last 2 seasons, 299th and 270th. His peak was 157th. That's not the kind of trend that keeps you around forever. Number 47, Matt McKillop at Davidson. This one's interesting. Entering year 4, and he's landed between 125th and 147 every season. Not terrible, but when your dad's last 3 seasons were 70, 70, and 40, the standards are higher. Honestly, it always felt like an obligation hire. Another season around 147th, and I wouldn't be surprised if they move on. Number 48, Chris Mooney at Richmond, the ultimate survivor. Year 21 now, but he's coming off a season ranked 247th. At some point, even Richmond may finally decide it's time. Number 49, Shaheen Holloway at Seton Hall. Holloway's an alum, and winning the NIT championship in 2024 probably buys him some time. But if this year looks anything like last season, when they finished 204th, then all bets are off. Seton Hall should never be that bad. Mid-majors with fewer resources were outclassing them. Number 50, Ron Hunter at Tulane. 7 years in, and last season they finished 144th. Hunter seems to have lost momentum, and the energy around the program isn't what it once was. Number 51, Ben Jacobson at Northern Iowa. Last 2 years, 102nd and 111th. Solid, but after nearly 20 years, even a little stagnation can feel like decline. Remember, he delivered 2 top 30 seasons over a decade ago, but that was a decade ago. Number 52, Thad Matta at Butler. 75th last year, not bad given the resources. But the fans at Butler, they're spoiled by the Brad Stevens years. Pressure will always be high, even if it probably shouldn't be. Number 53, Tad Boyle at Colorado. The last 4 years have gone 79th, 70th, 24th, and then 87th. Up and down. It seems like resources are holding them back, but the program does feel stalled. Expect another finish around the mid-70s this year. Number 54, Fred Hoiberg at Nebraska. Hoiberg's actually done a good job at a really tough place to win, but at some point, if results slip, you could start hearing rumblings. The patience isn't endless. Number 55, Dennis Gates at Missouri. Welcome to the Gates roller coaster. In 3 seasons, 57th, 145th, and 19th. Big highs, big lows. The frustrations usually come from his style and rotation choices. And let's not forget, anyone with an 0-18 conference season on their resume should stay cautious for a while. Number 56, Brad Brownell at Clemson. 2 outstanding top 25 seasons in his back pocket, but Brownell's been perpetually on the hot seat. All it takes is one bad year for the chatter to crank back up. Right now, if health holds, they're probably looking around 50th, but an injury, that could bring the noise again. And lastly, number 57, Doug Gottlieb at Green Bay. Year 1 went about as poorly as it possibly could. 4-28, ranked 332nd. And that doesn't even include a loss to a Division II program. Without Anthony Roy, I could see it going equally bad this year. The twist here, they probably can't fire him. If the school terminates him without cause in the first 2 years of his deal, he's owed twice the remaining base salary. That's around $2.3 million, more than the basketball team generated in revenue last season. So unless there's a buyout restructure or Gottlieb himself walks, he's sticking around. Thanks for listening to the Resource Nexus Podcast. Be sure to check out the Resource